Welcome to another episode of the Veterans Growing America podcast. I am your co-host, Coach R.L. Simmons. I am here with my illustrious co-host, Donnell Johns, and we have another special guest for you today. We have Mr. Jonathan Thompson. He is the founder of Alpha Six Battalion, and he is a veteran Marine. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Jonathan, first of all, thank you for being here. I know you, but my audience wants to get to know you. Tell us a little bit about your military experience and background.
So I got into the Marine Corps in 2004. I served into 2008. My first duty station was in Okinawa. That's pretty much where I met my wife. I was deployed from there. While on deployment, my son was born. So I came back to a full baby. Now we're going through our second one, 6 months pregnant now. But while serving, I was DMO. They renamed it to DMO. At the time, it was called TMO. Most branches would know it as the Transportation Office.
Okay.
When you go to the office to get your household goods, your passenger travels, when you're PCS. And that was two aspects. In the Marine Corps, we had three. We had freight, we had household goods, and then we had passenger travel. I got deployed because I was freight, shipping vehicles, containers, gear, all that good stuff. So once we left Okinawa, we went to Yuma. That's why I separated from. I did some school in New Jersey for a little while, and we moved to Georgia. From there, I guess my first job out the military was in the transportation office at Fort McPherson, which was an easy transition because I was doing the work in Yuma. So my first job out, I was able to literally just take the uniform off and just walk right into the civilian position. Being 22, average age, 45 to 50, was like a big change, trying to navigate waters with actual adults, being straight from the military and hot-headed and short-tempered, that was a huge transition there. But the base, I'm pretty sure most people know, a lot of bases was closing during that time frame, 2008 to, 15 or so. So Fort McPherson closed. Once it closed, I became a police officer. I did that for about 4 years in East Point, Georgia. Then we moved here. I was a cop over at Fort Belvoir for a little while at the community hospital. And from there, I got into contracting, and that's pretty much my route ever since. Contracting, then government again, and then contracting again, and then government again. It's been back and forth between contracting jobs and government jobs, and, the rest is history. Now I'm here, still contracting. I came up with the concept of Alpha Six Battalion. It didn't start with that name, but the idea started while I was on the road traveling, talking to service members, various young people. I remember when I was in that position, anytime I'd see a contractor come living in Okinawa, like, how did you get into that kind of work? How did you fall? How did this, what did you have to learn in order to step into that realm where you're a contractor working overseas for the U.S.? And while we was on travel, we got a lot of the same questions and many more. That's just the tip of the iceberg. That's where the seed came from to start Alpha Six Battalion as like a resource for service members, veterans, when they get out, kind of answer or cover some of the questions that people run into or the scenarios that people run into while transitioning. A lot of people spend a lot of time on base, never lived out in town. The concept of buying a home is completely new. It's new, whether it's your first home or your third home. It's always a different scenario you might run into, but especially if you never lived out in town. So some of those things that you run into, we try to present that information to people. That way they could avoid stepping in it. Because once you're in it, you're in it. But if you could see the waters are rocky, once you kind of have like that front hand knowledge, you start seeing the waters are rocky ahead. You're able to navigate the waters easier since you're already familiar with a set situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, let me ask you this though. I mean, you went through a lot of training, especially military, DOD. What are some of those experiences that led you into the journey of entrepreneurship?
Different branches have different leadership style. I don't want to like paint a brush across all military, and even within the military, everybody has like their own leadership style. And I'm not saying this in a negative way, but we had a particular leader at one point where when we first met him, he came in hot and heavy. He was like, I'm all about family. I'm all about time off. If we do port side, starboard side, port side's off, starboard side, man the shop, starboard side off, port side, man the shop. He came in with that but like he never applied that. But that concept that he was talking about always stuck with me. But also when being a young troop and we was doing the work, I realized like a lot of the leadership, once they reach a certain point, they stop doing like that physical work. Being an NCO at the time, I was E4, and I was helping my troops do the work. I always wanted to keep that aspect of not just tell, but, or show. How can I show you or just tell you if I'm not willing to do it myself? So I adopted that style. Like, even though I might have to tell you or show you, I'm going to help you with it. We're going to do it together, because if we're doing it together, we're pumping out more product. We're pumping out more productivity from him, even though the situation was what it was. After that particular meeting, I mean, that was our first time meeting him. He disappeared for a couple months. We thought he was TAD. He was like, well, what happened to the warrant officer? A warrant officer disappeared on us. That, at least that initial speech that he gave stuck with me. And I was like, I like that. And then, like I said, when we're into work, instead of just sitting back, browsing the internet, I see my troops humping, trying to push people out, PCS and out of the area, processing their paperwork. Why am I just sitting there, watching them do it? Let's do it together. Let's crank out as many people as we can and get it done. So that's pretty much how I adopted my leadership style as far as from military to entrepreneurship right now.
No, that's good. In the Army, disappearing is a warrant officer's superpower. So I wasn't surprised when you said that.
Well, I mean, he came in and he did have a young baby. The baby was probably maybe 8 months at the time. So, it's understandable, but
Yeah.
like, I'm talking about this guy was gone like months. But we didn't see him.
You like,
Like,
did
we walked by his office. The office was dark for months. Like, did he even move in? Like, I know he just got here, but we ain't seen this man in forever.
Oh man, that's
Yeah, that's why we call them the quiet professionals, because you don't see, hear, or
That's it.
Right. So,
let's
but
talk about.
even though he was MIA most of the time, he did give me like an aspect. Like, I don't want to be like that. If I'm gonna tell my people, or if my people are looking at me to like lead, I want to be right there with them. I don't want to just point and say do. I want to be able to perform with them as well.
Yeah, that's a great NCO right there.
Yes, sir.
So let's get into business a little bit. What inspired you to start your own business? I mean, because going to school, they don't teach you business. That's something that you have to go after on your own. So tell me a little bit about what inspired you to start your own business.
So I guess again it goes back to Yuma. When I first got out while I was on terminal, I went to school in New Jersey, but it was like a mobile tech training type of school. It wasn't like college credits. It wasn't like that. It was learning how to do car stereos, because I was into that stuff at the time. Fast cars. I still have a two-door car, a little coupe. Doing upholstery, installing car stereos. That's what got me into wanting to start a business. But again, at the time, there was Best Buy, there was Circuit City before Circuit City kind of dwindled. They had a lot of heavy hitters. And even though I went to the school to learn how to do the work, I eventually wanted to like have my own shop. But then life happens, you always have these plans and then life happens. We moved, we went to Georgia, did the government thing, did the police thing. So like working on cars just wasn't, feasible at the time. And then I eventually grew to a point where I didn't want to work on cars anymore. But I always had that itch where I wanted to start a business. So at the time of being a cop, they had a lot of t-shirt companies at the time, but they were all small. The internet wasn't as big and prevalent as it is now. The iPhones had only just came out, 4 or 5 years ago. So I started designing police shirts at the time because I was a cop, And then companies like, I don't know if you guys remember them, Ranger Up came out. And then I was always rocking Ranger Up shirts. Like that was like my motivation. And then again, another seed in my head, like eventually I want to do something like this while I'm making shirts, etc. Even though it took me a long time, I finally made it to that point where that's what we do at Alpha Six Battalion. That's pretty much how it started. But then again, like I mentioned, while we was on the road with people asking us all these questions, I wanted to have apparel with a purpose, but also like the purpose was to provide like various resources to people once they separate, service member and their family.
Hey, so I want to get into Alpha Six Battalion. I want to talk about generally. I know we touch base on it a little bit, but I want you to kind of dive in, tell the people what it is, what you do, what's your unique business proposition.
So Alpha Six Battalion, the name, I guess I'll start with that. The name comes from the 6% of veterans. So I wanted to have that representation, a way that resonates with, not just military people, but, having the battalion in the name, that kind of like has your ears kind of twinkle like, what's this? It's obviously military, but the six represents the 6% of Americans that serve. The numbers technically are around 6.4. I round down, but also we have like an issue within our community where sometimes some people make permanent decisions off temporary problems. So by creating the name Alpha Six Battalion and trying to provide some of the resources that we're planning and that we already have, our aim is to help people when they feel like they're in certain situations where they feel like they're feeling some kind of way. It might we obviously don't have all the answers, but we want to have that network, with VGA, other vet groups, where we could reach out to someone. Somebody might know something to help a particular somebody in a particular situation. Came across a vet organization. She was telling me about Habitats of Humanity here in Spotsylvania. They were accepting applications for duration. I can't remember at the moment, but only one veteran. They're looking to place a veteran family in a house, and only one veteran family applied for the program. And it's like, people can't find out about these things because sometimes they're just not looking for it. So, like, our aim is, even though we do apparel, they might find something that they like. They might find a shirt with a saying that they like, but they might come across that information we're putting out there. Hey, if you live in this area, there's this veteran organization that's working with Habitats with Humanity, and they're trying to place someone in a home. And maybe they might be that person that want to apply. They might need that home. I don't like where we live right now. We need to move. Maybe this might be for us.
No, I
So,
like that. Yeah,
yeah,
I like the fact that, not only are you supporting our veteran community with apparel, but you're also supporting them with information.
right.
Let's
And
talk a little.
that's like the number one thing. Everybody has something to teach someone. My wife was talking to someone, a vet. He was Marine Corps. He was telling her how the VA paid to get tints in his car because of this particular condition he has. I never even heard of that. So, like, we all have a particular experience that we could pass on, and we could, help someone else that might have a similar condition where getting the VA to pay for their tents will help them. But we all don't know because sometimes we just don't talk to each other. That happens a lot, especially when people get out. They kind of want to veer away from the military. I did 10 years, I did 8 years. Let's say they had a negative experience. They just want to even though, they might have honorable discharge, they just want to get away from the military entirely. And, they're missing out on tons of information, especially if they're hurt. Like, they don't even put in their VA claim, and they just want to like completely check out. There's 20 years later, and they finally, catch up with a veteran, and then you just start chopping it up, and they're like, I never even knew that. I didn't even know I could do something like that. Like, VA claim? What do you mean? I can't get a VA claim for that. Yeah, yeah, you can, because I have it. Or, I met this person where they have this condition, and they're like, I've been suffering with that since, XYZ. But information, like Donnell said, that's pretty much apparel with purpose. The purpose is information, passing on information, passing on resources to help people in various situations.
That's good.
Yeah, information changes situations. At Veterans Connect on Thursday, there was a guy that came in, and this was new to me. He was telling me that if you're 30% or better,
Mm.
that you can go to urgent care and then provide that bill to the VA, and then the VA will pay for your urgent care visit.
Mm.
I had no idea. I mean, think about the number of veterans that may go to urgent care without any type of medical
Rating.
insurance
Yeah.
or anything like that, and
But
they
they
may
got
be
that rating.
30%,
Yeah.
and now they don't have to pay, to go to the hospital or at least the urgent care.
Yeah. That's awesome. I didn't know that either. I need to dig into that
Yeah.
just to put the information out there.
Yeah, that blew my mind, and he showed me a bill. He was like, "I'm only at 30%, and this is what I have." So, that
Yeah.
was just great information that he shared.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what type of challenges did you face in transitioning, either from the military into the business world or to the business world as a whole? What's some of the challenges that you faced?
I guess, when you're in the military, you always have people, whether you got your E3 group, the E3 Mafia, E4 Mafia, Lance Corporal Underground. You always had like a group of people to like rely on. If I know A through Z, you know, I'm sorry, A through P, they got the other half covered. When you go into business, and it's often glamorized, like you'll see it on social media. I'm an entrepreneur, but like people don't realize like all the hard work it takes, and often you're your number one fan. Many times you might do things that don't resonate with people, and if this is like something that's your calling, you won't drop it regardless whether it resonates with people or not. You'll find keep pushing until you find that group of people that does resonate with. So I guess one of the things is, often you're alone. You're cranking out resources, you're cranking out whatever you're doing. If you're writing books alone, and you're like, I want to send this copy to someone, and you beat up your best friend 100 times for another copy. I know it's 2 a.m. I'm texting you. I just sent you another copy. Again, I need you to read. I need you to review it, and then you gotta like. I don't want to say you gotta like beat them up about it, because sometimes, again, because you keep pushing it on them, they might get tired of you. So you gotta kind of quiz them to see if they actually read it. Like, all right, I put a particular error in there on purpose to see if they actually caught it, to see if they actually read it. Because again, it's you on your own. If you're cranking things out, your brain is going to tell you it looks good, but when somebody else actually reviews it, they might catch those errors. But if you're beating someone up so bad to the point where they're tired of you and they're tired of your copies, they're not going to catch that error because I reviewed it. It looks good. Everything's good. Yeah, but did you see that error that I put where I purposely, and they're like, nah, I didn't see that. I guess I'll look at it again, But again, this world, it could be lonely because in the military, you always have people to help you get a particular task done, whatever that task may be. There's always going to be someone you could probably rely on. But within this, especially if it's not working yet, you're alone, you're not getting any traction, you feel like giving up, and you're not getting any smiles. It's not resonating with people. It could be discouraging, and you're like, all right, I don't really want to do this anymore. But if it's in you, and like this is my assignment, I know it is because it's been X years and I haven't given up yet. Everything will eventually start churning for you.
Hey, what is a key lesson or a piece of advice that you learned in the military that you now apply?
I guess I'll say the same thing, like not giving up. Because, like I said, some people might, and it could be demographics wise too. Like you could be in a particular area where your stuff don't resonate here, but then you go somewhere else, and then you're like, your stuff is selling. It's like, oh, what changed? You kind of change the location. That not giving up mentality that you get from the military. Somebody likes your stuff. Not just your family, not just your friends. You know what I'm saying? It just might take some time to find that crowd. And during that wait, that's when people, I don't know if you ever seen that image. It's like an image on top of each other. It's two guys, they're mining, and they're mining towards the diamonds. And like the first guy, he's hungry. He's drilling, and he's cutting at the rock in order to get to the diamond. But the guy on the bottom, he just had this much to go. And in the image, he's turning around and he's giving up. But if he just pushed 2-3 more steps, he would have hit his goal. And that's where that no give up attitude from the military helps push through. Because sometimes you're at that point. Donnell says it all the time when we vent on the weekends. This is hard. Sometimes if you don't show up for you, nobody else is going to show up for you. And to have that no give up, keep fighting, keep pushing mentality, that keep pushing drive to show up for yourself, that's when you start getting that breakthrough that people are looking for.
Sure. Percent. At VGA, we say you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. And that was evident, on Friday, when y'all met. I mean, I jumped on the call and you guys was instantly gelling.
Yeah.
It's now we have another community of people that can help you with your business, and your business is your superpower. Talk to us about what is your superpower? What is your business superpower?
I think talking to people, we do that a lot. I mean, that's primarily what we do. The shirts, the hoodies, all that stuff is for fun. Somebody might see something that, oh, I was a ranger, or I'm a vet. I like to walk around Like our shirt, it says veteran, noun, a person who saves you without asking questions. And people like that. They like that because, they're walking around like hits. That's all that stuff is fun and it's all for laughs and to make us feel good because we are only 6%. Like as many millions of people in the country, like only 6% of Americans have done it. That's wild work. But I guess like having the ability to talk to people could be about anything. It could be about any music. Being in the military, you get so much experience, not just work wise, culture wise. Various cultures, various music, and it all like. I mean, we used to go to like the bar, and you would have the guys who, they got that hip hop vibe, and then you got the guy with the cowboy boots, and we're all just hanging out, and it's nothing. This is normal for us. You even have the guy with the shorts, and he don't have no civilian shoes, so he'd still have on his regular military boots, and we're all looking good. And then he comes is like, dude, you gotta stay. You can't come with us.
I done had that a couple of times. Like, now,
Yeah, I mean, it never fails. There's always one,
Yeah.
and then it's like.
or it's like,
And
what
then he
size
got the
girl, you
socks
gotta come
pulled
out
up
with
too. It's not even like he's wearing the boots. He got the boots pulled tight. It got the straps on, and the socks are pulled all the way up. It's like you can't go with this. We're going to Dusty's down the road for some drinks, and here you are with your boots on. You ain't got no shoes. No, I ain't got no shoes. No, you got to stay, man. You got to get
Right.
out of here. But having that ability to like, it doesn't matter what room, just being able to walk into any room and just know, like, I'm going to walk into this area and whoever comes across me, I'm able to have a conversation with them because we've been exposed to various different types, walks of life, all different kind of culture, all different kind of music. I don't only have to, my family's from the islands. My father, he only listens to reggae music. I don't have to only listen to reggae music. I can listen to, my mom, she's from St. Lucia, from the islands too. She listens to country music. Don't even listen to reggae music unless, my father's playing it. I got the reggae, I got the, and having that ability to just talk to any person is like a superpower because and I'm kind of introverted most of the time. I kind of when I'm out and about in the world, I don't tend to say much if I don't have to. But when I'm like out there and I'm showing my stuff and I'm talking to people, I guess I tap into that other side of me because I can't just sit there and just hope people will, come up to me and talk to me. I got to be able to talk to people and bring them in and, share what we do and why we do and who we do it for. You have to have that ability to talk to anybody about anything, about any time, in order for them to like resonate with you to want to like buy. Like they say it all the time. Donnell Jr., one of the things he says, people buy people, right? That's his phrase, right, Donnell? Do I got it
Yeah,
right?
that is.
Yeah.
That's 100%.
Right. So, if you're not able to not adjust who you are, just be able to be flexible and talk about anything with any culture, it doesn't matter who, it's going to be a hard going. This is going to be definitely a hard going for you.
Yeah.
It's super cool just to see the growth of people's business. Let me ask you this question. If you had to, rewind and start all over again, what would you do differently?
If I had to rewind, I would say a lot of times people tell you, there's never a perfect time. You definitely always want to wait until I have this. If if I had to start all over or rewind, I'd definitely start sooner because I've told you, I've had the idea for so long. And even though the idea evolved and changed a little bit, I would have started something because it would have gave me some of the experience that I needed earlier and learned some of the lessons that I know now that would have applied, I could have learned years ago. But again, there's never a perfect time to start. But also, if I was to start again right now, I guess I would focus on the foundation, focusing on the website, trying to get that stuff established. Because going back sometimes to try to get it set up after you're rolling, or people ask you questions like, "Oh, so is this on your website?" You're talking about it, but it's not on your website. No, it'll be there. No. You can't have it. It needs to be there. So
Mhm.
like that's one thing. Like I don't like to tell people some of the things that we do or what we're working on. I don't, for one, because especially if it's taking a long time, because certain ideas that people have, it takes a while to get it ironed out correctly. Sometimes you have all those wrinkles and bumps in the roads that you don't foresee it coming until you're in it, and you're like, okay, how do I refine this to make it better or sound better, XYZ. Now, if you told 1,000 people that you have this, and now the next time they see you, it's been a couple weeks and they're wondering, well, where is it? Oh, that guy, he ain't gonna get that done. So like, I like to just not say any projects that we're working with. I like to just have it. When the next time they see me, it's ready. It's here. Or something new is here, at least. Oh, I wanted to tell you about this the last time, but we were still ironing some things out. But here it is. This is what I've been working on for the last few weeks, last 2 months. It's ready. It's meant to help these type of people, XYZ,
No, that's huge. That's huge. So my final question is tell people about your experience at VGA and why you're a member of VGA.
So, and everywhere I go, when I talk to people, I always like, if I'm talking about Alpha Six Battalion, I always mention VGA. It's like kind of in the same sentence with the hyphen. It's right there, we work with the veteran group out of VGA. Have you heard of them? And then it goes into the whole market thing. When I found VGA, I was actually kind of ironing out ideas. I was exploring ideas and trying to compile a list of random businesses owned by veterans. My intent at the time wasn't to start vending, even though I had like stuff I already got made. I wasn't looking to go out to vend anywhere. I was trying to figure out a way to like do foundation. How can we start getting traction on social media? So I was looking for veteran businesses to interview about their time when they separated. How did that go? What are some of the things that people should look out for once they leave? Once they're getting out? What did you learn, let's say 5 to 10 years that somebody's getting out today should be aware of, right? Because the transition, TAPS class, transition, retirement briefings, that stuff is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more world experience that people experience, and you don't run into it until years later. So as I'm getting this list together and I'm searching for veteran-owned businesses in my area, and my wife had previously told me about VGA. One of her coworkers goes there all the time. VGA comes up first, and I was like, I'm asking, I'm like, hey, babe, is this the marketplace, the veterans marketplace that you told me about? She's like, yeah. I was like, oh, let me give them a call. It's Sunday though. They're not gonna answer. I'll probably have to call Monday or Tuesday. I just called just for grins. And like half a minute later, half a second, I mean, they rang like barely. Donnell answers. I didn't even know what to say. I wasn't prepared because I just knew in my mind, nobody's going to answer. It's a Sunday. And he answered immediately. He told me about it, and I got paperwork sent to me that day for me to vend the next weekend. So from the start, from the get-go, it was like, as soon as you tap into the community, if you're serious, they're serious. They're already, if you're serious, they show you they're serious right away. They give you everything that you need for you to show up the very next week to start getting your stuff in front of people. And it's been hitting the ground running ever since. I haven't vended in a little while. We had some things going on with work and then the baby, but we still get people pushed to us through Donnell all the time. People talking about the hoodie. Hey, I need a hoodie. Okay, let me knock it out. I'll drop it off at the store for you. But like I said too earlier, it's a lonely realm, especially when you're not getting the traction that you wanted. You're not getting hits on your website. People aren't watching YouTube videos. That's kind of like a unicorn thing, especially for you to like blow up on social media. But like having VGA behind you, get your stuff in front of like-minded people, especially if you're a veteran, service member, dependent, whatever the case may be. The people that's been in the same realm as you that are pulling in new people, because people that come to the store, they're not all veterans, they're not all service members, they're not all family members. It's just regular average Joes, regular average citizen that comes in that loves the military, loves to support, and they walk in and they see things that, veterans are making and they want to purchase from them, And a lot of things, it's so impersonal when you buy from like these big name companies. These people don't, they don't, it's just margins for them. But like when you look at VGA, the people that come to VGA, it's like, I'm actually supporting someone that's done something for the country. Whether I've done it or not, whether I'm part of that 6% or not, I want to buy from them because they've done something that I'm grateful for, or they have products where they actually care about what they're making instead of just churning out, random junk garbage for profit, There's a lot of care behind the things that people do at VGA, and people could tell right away, as soon as somebody walks into the door, we have new family, we have returning family, and, it makes people feel welcomed which is not the case when you walk into like a random Walmart or whatever the case may be, you know?
Absolutely. In fact, Walmart asks me extra stuff when I'm leaving. They make me feel like I'm stealing. I know I just
Yeah.
bought my receipt. Oh, yeah, I mean,
They're
you
like,
walk in VGA, it's a
"Hey, can
party.
I see that receipt? You got a million things on the receipt. You're not gonna see everything on the receipt." And then they just put a line through it like they looked at. You ain't look at it.
Yeah, you ain't look at
You
that.
ain't look
You
at it.
see me check
Where's
out.
the
I know you
toilet
see
paper
me
that's
check
at the bottom? Show it to me on the list. Show me the toilet paper on the list since you just looked at it that fast. Let me see. Show it to me so I can see. They
Oh,
know
man.
they don't care. They're like, all
They
right,
know.
whatever.
Hey, JT, man. So before we close out, what I want to do is give you the floor and the opportunity. We have viewers and listeners. Some of them may be veterans just interested in entrepreneurship. Some of them are entrepreneurs trying to get started, and some people got the itch, and they got the bug, but they haven't got started yet. What are some um, advice and things that you would have for them? And I also open the floor just for you to give some last words.
So a lot of, especially if they're veterans, a lot of what we missing when we leave the service is systems and structure. Finding someone to be accountable to, especially when you're doing this. When you decide you want to be an entrepreneur, you're accountable to the customer, but it's hard to show up if you're not accountable to yourself. So for me, we talked about it before we started. I don't use the title CEO. I give the title CEO to God because that helps me stay accountable. So if I feel like I'm reporting to God, I'm working for God. So that gives me, especially because I do these weekly meetings, and then if you're familiar with project management, I do like a daily scrum where even though it's 2 or 3 minutes, I'll list off a couple of the things. And what I do, I speak this into ChatGPT too to kind of like map it out, and it helps me. I'll have a chat for Scrum. I'll speak into a certain task. Hey, Monday I did this. Tuesday I did this. And then I'll take that consolidated and then I'll put it into my weekly meeting chat with God. And then that gives me like some of like my overview and kind of helps me keep structure and helps me, okay, I should probably focus on this week. But having that structure helps you because it gives you someone to be accountable to. A lot of times people are like, I want to do this, but I have a hard time showing up. You have a hard time showing up because you feel like you're not accountable to someone. It's almost like a hobby. And if it's just a hobby, you're not showing up the way you need to. You're not basically performing like the way you can. You know you can, but it's just hard to get that structure, that system going for yourself. So I would say to anyone looking to get into it, find a structure, find a way to, because you can say it all day, I'm going to the gym. And then you know you're supposed to go to the gym, but you don't go to the gym. Shoot, I do it now. I've been slacking. The last couple months I was on it, but like the last few weeks because of the holidays and stuff, I've fallen off. I got to get back on it. But having that, for me, having the higher power that I'm working for helps me keep that structure to keep accountability to myself and the business as well, you know?
No, that's really good. And definitely you bringing up the structure with kind of treating it like a scrum and just ensuring that everything that you're doing is aligned in your sprint and your sprint in life, right?
Right.
So like when you do that and that type of structure, man, will definitely keep you driven. I appreciate you for sharing that because I never thought to apply that, outside of the structure that I use it in now. But I mean, if I did use that type of structure, I would be on glide path every single time. That was dope. Thank you for
Yes,
sharing that.
sir. Yes, sir. No problem.
So before we get out of here, how do the people get a hold of you? What's your socials? How do they get some of the gear? How do they get some of the resources?
So our website for the resources is Alpha VI Battalion, Alpha 6, but Roman numeral 6 battalion.com. Our store is Alpha 6 Battalion .store. Same thing from the website, the main website. You could get to the store, you could find the resources, you could find some of the things we have in the pipeline. Our social media, same thing, Instagram, TikTok, Alpha VI Battalion. You'll see our character. We got our character, Alpha Wolf. I created this character. It's almost like a G.I. Joe-esque universe I'm building with the characters that I have. Everybody is like various veterans, but the wolf, I made it a wolf to represent the brotherhood from the military, the wolf pack, right?
Yeah.
There's even units, one of the Shivens with her daughter at VGA. She said her unit in the Air Force was called the Wolf Pack. So she
Mhm.
she bought one of my first Alpha Wolf hoodies. At the time, I didn't even have an idea to like use him or to even make him. I just did a random hoodie with a wolf on it. And she's like, oh, I like that. That our unit was called the Wolf Pack. And then I was like, that kind of like started getting the gears churning.
Yeah.
And then I ended up coming up with the character that represents the veteran getting out of the military, and he's in awkward civilian situations. A lot of what you'll see is random adventures that, some of it is bringing our designs to life. Not everything is like transition related. A lot of it is just for comedy. A lot of it is just for laughs and giggles and bringing our ideas to life. Like some of our Halloween characters ended up, hunting my boy,
Yeah.
and he did something that pissed someone off, and then all of a sudden he has these bounty hunters after him. So you'll see a lot of him on our social media, but there's a lot of videos where he's explaining various things, and it seems like comedy, but it's actual like real life scenarios. I did a
Yeah.
video where a couple of the consolidated stories that I got from people buying houses. They bought a house, all the water was turned off in the house except for the half bathroom. And people probably think of searching the house or when they're inspecting the house, well, this is only to save water, right? But when they closed on the house, they turned on the water throughout the house flooded. So I did a video about that. I did a video. We had, before we moved here from Lorton, our AC seized, and the part ended up being 17 years old, which was you know, out of circulation, decommissioned or discontinued. So I did a video about that, him complaining about old ACs. You buy in a house and now, you find out in order to repair it, you need a brand new one. So I use him to paint a lot of our real life scenarios in a comical way. And it's been reaching a lot of people probably would never even entertain anything veteran related, America related. They see it, but they're getting these real life stories from this character's perspective, and they're like, oh damn, in their mind they're probably thinking, and they're sticking around. So I know it's resonating with them. They might not all comment or say something. I got a couple of loyal people that's constantly speaking and saying things and sending me messages, and we go back and forth. But for the majority of them, they're getting a dose of the 6% that they probably never would have thought of before because of the character that we're using. Like I said, he's the only wolf. Everybody else there's a couple other characters that are animals, but we have just regular humans amongst them, and like I said, it's kind of like an old school 90s Street Sharks vibe that I'm kind of depicting here. It's wacky and funny scenarios, but ultimately it's pushing like real issues, especially when I was talking to the 22 a day scenario. And, again, people that would never even begin to entertain the plight of a veteran or even begin to even care or understand anything about us are tuning in and learning things that they probably would have never thought of in their life.
No, I love that. After we shut down the show, I have not really an idea, but it did spark, it's an idea, but it sparked something when you said something about the character. So I'll just kind of put a bug in your ear and maybe you can use that bug to kind of spruce up some of the stories as well.
Yeah.
Definitely, Bob. Definitely appreciate you sharing that. Definitely appreciate you for sharing your time and experience with us. Truly appreciate you taking the time out.
Yeah, no doubt. No, appreciate that.
Donnell
I'm
froze.
definitely open to any ideas. I tell people all the time, if they have an idea, if they have a various, military scenario they want me to do a video about, send me a comment. Drop me a comment, send me a message. Hey, do a video about this. Might take me a while because sometimes dealing with the AI could be a little wonky, but I'll get to it, and then I'll make sure to do it in a funny way to
Yeah.
make sure it brings light to the situation, but also some humor.
Sure. Appreciate you, brother. Hey,
Yes, sir.
Donnell, how can people find VGA?
Well, before we get into that, let's talk to him a little bit about Coach R.L. and what you offer to the table. So let's talk a little bit about that. Tell them about you.
I love that. Thank you for allowing me to share this platform. As always, I help people individualize and personalize and understand their finances simply. I break everything down simply. My favorite thing to do in coaching is to be the translator of everything that you hear. So some of the things you see on social media, some of the ideas you have, and a lot of us haven't even had financial literacy anywhere, not in our curriculums in high school, not in college. You're definitely not, I'm not gonna say definitely, but most likely not gonna get it when you're enlisted, unless you go out and seek it. And those are the things that I like to provide. In fact, I am pushing out the 2026 curriculum in March, brand new book. It's called Growth Over Average Thinking. It's a money mindset book that is going to be on fire. Back to you, Donnell.
So before we get into VGA, I did want to shout out Alpha Six Battalion for this hoodie. Check this out. So it has my last name on there, the United States Army on here, the VGA logo over the heart, has Veterans Growing America on the sleeves, the rank I retired at. And then on the back, it says leaders, it says heroes, it says entrepreneurs, and it says human beings. And this was an idea that I had, and I just brought it to Jonathan. I was like, man, I would love to have a hoodie that represents my time in service and my organization. And he brought it to life. So thank you, Jonathan, for bringing this to life. Every time somebody sees it, they're like, I got to get my VGA hoodie like that. And so if y'all want to get a hoodie like this, y'all got to go to Alpha Six Battalion, and they can mock it up for you. And it doesn't have to be Army on there. It could be Air Force or whatever branch of service that you served at. But Alpha Six Battalion is the one that created this hoodie. And we want to just thank y'all for doing that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I love that. Appreciate it. You gave me the idea. Took a little bit of time, but we got it ironed out, and it looks good.
Yeah,
Definitely
it looks real good. It looks real, real good. And so how do people get in touch with VGA and get involved? So number one, I want y'all to go to my website, veteransgrowingamerica.com, and go to our directory, because you'll find more businesses like Alpha Six Battalion and Coach R.L. Simmons, where they're putting out information that they found not only their business, but the type of stuff that they have to offer. In addition to that, visit our store. We have a store in Woodbridge, Virginia, where we showcase veteran and military spouse entrepreneurs. And we have tons of events where you can come out and support entrepreneurship from our community. And when you walk through those doors, bring your wallet, because we want you to shop, baby.
Shop, baby.
Shop, baby.
We appreciate you, Jonathan, for being here. Thank you for taking time to be on the Veterans Growing America podcast. It's an honor to be able to showcase the work that you do. And by the way, we were the Wolf Pack in my basic training unit. So, yeah, it was seeing that, yeah.
That's another reason why I came up with him, because, people that get out, they want to be a lone wolf. It's like, come back to the pack,
Yeah.
You're stronger as a pack, whether it's one or two veterans buddies that you have, you're stronger together than you are navigating through life alone.
Yeah.
Love that.
Good. Well, again, thank you for your time, Donnell. Thank you for sharing the platform. We are over and out.
Appreciate it. Y'all have a good one.